I'm Theo.
And I'm Juliet.
And this is Apologies Accepted.
We offer an entertaining look at some of the big issues in history by examining public apologies of the famous and infamous.
We're looking at politicians, serial killers, actors, and you.
Send us a public apology you would like to make, and we'll read it on the air and give you a chance to redeem yourself or just get some guilt off your shoulders.
We're here for you. Once a week, maybe more if you're really, really sorry. Hi, everybody.
This is Apologies Accepted, the podcast. And I'm not Theo.
And I'm not Juliet.
And it's the start of the holiday season. Halloween is over, so this is going to be Christmas any minute now.
Oh, my God.
Totally excited.
No, you skipped over Thanksgiving entirely.
I know. My husband's the same way. He's like, we can't do anything Christmassy until Thanksgiving is over. But I did order a Christmas tree for delivery already. So the delivery will be on the 30th of November, which is as soon as I could get it.
The tree's still growing, and you're there with an axe.
Growing. It's right, exactly. It's through the Guardsmen, which is an organization in San Francisco that sends kids to summer camp that can't afford to go otherwise. So that's really cool. And I got a wreath and some garland also. So I'm totally excited about that. And Thanksgiving is going to happen. I acknowledge that Thanksgiving is a holiday that comes before Christmas. And we're going to Death Valley. I think I mentioned that last week. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Did you figure out your dinner?
Thanksgiving, no, I haven't called yet. I'm going to call tomorrow. I kept forgetting to call the restaurant to make reservations. So I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Don't delay, because it'll be the saddest Thanksgiving in the world if you can't have turkey and cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes and all of the traditional belongings to a traditional holiday. What am I saying?
Absolutely. We'll be eating Cliff Bars in our room, sadly, which is not good. Okay, so what other bacon do I have? Since you asked, Sarah Millican, we saw her on November 4th, which was Friday. She's an English comedian, and she's on Taskmaster. Yeah. If you've ever seen Taskmaster, she's on there, and she's on a bunch of other British shows too, I think. And she was at the Palace of Fine Arts, and she was really good. Brent really enjoyed it. She's kind of a little crass. Her comedy is a little bit crass, but she's still really funny. And I don't enjoy the crass comedy so much, but Brent definitely does. So he had a really good time, and I had a good time too. And I got my flu shot yesterday, so I'm feeling a little bit sick today. Not too bad, but I know, very exciting. And I've lost about 5 pounds. So that's my bacon.
That is, congratulations. I have gained those 5 pounds that you lost. All the weight that you're losing is coming straight to me, and I demand that you stop.
Okay.
Thank you.
Easy.
Thank you. I thank you, and my health thanks you.
What's up? What's shaking bacon for you?
What's shaking bacon over here? So I had a dinner with another friend, right? So you careful listeners to our show will remember that last episode I had dinner with a friend and tripped over his streak of anti-Semitism.
Yes.
So I tripped over a friend's streak of innocence at dinner.
That's cute.
And it was adorable and sweet. So here's what happened. By the way, she is a full grown up. She is super smart. She has traveled. She's like all together, right? The whole package. And so that's what makes this so funny to me. Mm-hmm. I was talking to her, and I mentioned OnlyFans, right?
Yeah.
And she said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, come on." And she said, "No, seriously, I don't know what it is. What's OnlyFans?" And I was like, "Oh, well, let me explain it to you. It's this and blah, blah, but it's porn, right?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, I haven't heard of it." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, there's a whole thing." And feet even is really big on it too.
It seems like
feet everywhere on OnlyFans. Yeah. And she said, it was a loud restaurant in my defense, right? So she said something, catfish feet. And I said, "Oh my God, that's the best idea in the world. We should totally do an OnlyFans where we just have fake feet and we collect money and we tell," because it's always guys, right? So we tell guys like, "I'll send you my pantyhose," or whatever, right? For $45, you can have these kitten heels that I'm wearing, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
none of it would obviously be our real feet, of course, right? Your catfish feet. And she said, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Well, you said catfish feet." And she said, "Catfish don't have feet." And I was like, "I know
Oh, no, she
catfish
didn't know
don't
what
have
catfishing
feet.
was? Oh
I
my
am
God.
talking about fake feet to make money off of suckers, right?" And
Right.
she said, "No, I have fattish feet." Thank you for the $1 million marketing idea there. And so then we're
That's
talking
great.
a little bit more, and my conversations, I'm sorry, and she didn't know what a glory hole was.
Oh my God.
I know.
Wow.
And then she had the audacity to Google it because she thought I was lying to her. She went to Google and she Googled glory hole.
Oh my gosh.
I was
That's
like,
not smart.
and I'll say the photo that came up,
Oh my God.
which was basically, it looked like someone had punched their fist through a plywood wall. It was all
Wow.
jagged, right?
Oh my
and
God.
she was like,
That's not a very good glory hole.
"Why would anybody put their through that?" And I was like, "Nobody would. That's not a thing." I don't know what to tell you, right? So I'm delighted that she has 4 children who are
Wow.
who are in college. Okay,
Wow.
so yes, right, and let's see. Okay, and then the only other bacon that I have is I voted and
Yay.
went to the really rich part of town because voting's
Nice.
super easy there. And in Texas, or at least in Austin, you can vote in grocery stores, right? Which
Very
is
cool.
awesome, super convenient. And so I went to the really nice grocery store in the really rich part of town super early in the morning because I'm on my way to work, and went in. There was nobody there, but there were like 10 poll workers, right?
Wow.
And of course, everybody's 100 years old, right?
Sure.
And one of the ladies had heavily accented English, and I found it rather difficult. And she wasn't telling me anything that was like impossible to figure out. I just didn't want to do anything in any way where some Texan was going to challenge my right to vote.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be like fully cooperative and
Yeah.
not my normal mode of operating. Usually I'm just like, what do I need to do? I'm going to go do it. So
Right.
anyway, I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that I wasn't some Republican who was making some stupid, like passive aggressive, whatever bullshit remark. Because I asked her to repeat herself like 3 times for one part that I truly did not understand. And when she was done, I said, "Thank you very much for volunteering today. I think this is marvelous." And then just to everybody around me, all the poll workers, I said, "You guys, I really appreciate your volunteering to do this. Thank you." And this guy who looked like a Fox News watcher, who was a volunteer poll worker, said, "We're all in this together."
Oh my God.
And I cried while I voted. Yes. Yep. And so it was really touching. I didn't realize that I had such feelings around voting.
Yeah.
But look at the segue I'm making for our topic.
Oh yeah.
But I really do. And it's like, for as much as I criticize, I really do love this country.
Sure.
It's somehow, some way, which is not that it's a surprise, but I'm surprised to find this streak of patriotism running through me, which will bring us to our topic today.
Yes, it sure does. So what happened was in September of this year, a restaurant called the Clubhouse, which is part of the Aquia Harbor Country Club in Stafford, Virginia, posted a Patriot Day 2022 Seafood Sunday menu. And the menu is posted by the manager of the restaurant, George White. And the menu was advertised as only available on the anniversary of the terrorist attack on September 11th, with dishes that included freedom flounder Flight 93 redirect crab dip.
Oh, come on.
Pentagon Pie, 9/11 oysters, first responder flatbread, a remember-tini, and the 2977 chowder, which referred to the number of people who died on September 11th. And if you couldn't pick one, you could have a never forget sampler, which had a little bit of everything.
I just, and
yeah.
I mean, okay, I have done asinine, stupid things, right? Absolutely fuckball, stupid, crazy, dumb things that I thought were good ideas.
Sure,
right?
sure. Here's one. You didn't do this one.
I didn't do this one. And even I would be like, it's probably not such a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get them anyway, we'll get into it, but.
Yeah.
But come on. The chowder?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
The number of people that
the
died.
Flight 93 redirect crab dip refers to the is actually a name for hot crab dip with crostini, and it refers to the flight that crashed in Pennsylvania. If you remember, I'm sure everyone remembers. Well, maybe the people who aren't in the U.S. don't remember, but that was the flight that crashed after the passengers and the crew tried to get control of the aircraft from hijackers and ended up dying, but in doing so prevented the plane from reaching its intended target, which I think was the Capitol in Washington, D.C. The restaurant that did this is only about 45 minutes from the Pentagon, so it's sort of in the D.C. area, and of course at the Pentagon 184 people were killed and it was heavily damaged in the attack. So yeah, not very smart. They obviously got a lot of complaints and they changed their mind about the menu and changed it to like a football menu or something. I have more about that later, but yeah, you were going to say?
Much better idea.
Yeah.
I will say I like the food on the menu. They had a lot of photos of it. Yeah,
I would eat any of that stuff. I'm going to have the sampler.
It was perfect. I mean, I would all of it. It looked really good. It's just
I can't believe they named something Freedom Flounder.
The names, the remember-tini,
That's terrible.
I mean, 3 of those and you won't be remembering. That joke needs a little bit of work, but it's pretty solid.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
So speaking of jokes, this story reminded me of famous 9/11 jokes, which included Gilbert Gottfried's. And he actually, just like 2 or 3 weeks after 9/11, he was at a Friars Club roast for Hugh Hefner. And he said, I have a flight to California. I can't get a direct flight. They said they have to stop at the Empire State Building first. And people were shocked, and some people laughed, and one guy shouted too soon, which the article I read said that might be the first instance of someone using too soon after a joke. But I don't know. And Gilbert Gottfried was so pissed off that people didn't laugh that he went into an extended version of the Aristocrats joke, which is famous. But people really laughed hard at the Aristocrats joke that he told, but they did not find his 9/11 joke funny. So, and this reminds me that when I was at Sarah Milliken on Friday, the opener, whose name I don't remember, was a dude who told a 9/11 joke. Actually, he said that he was saying that his wedding had been rescheduled like 3 times during the pandemic, and finally he settled on September 11th as a date for his wedding because everything was available and flights were cheap. So, kind of a joke, kind of funny, kind of not. I mean, I get it, but it is a joke.
It is a joke. It is a joke.
It is a joke. Whether it's funny or not, I don't know. People laughed and some people booed, actually, or some people were like, oh, in the audience that night. But in 2002, which is just a year after the September 11th, Joan Rivers made fun of the September 11th widows whose firefighting husbands were killed in the attacks. She said that since the widows had been paid $5 million each, how disappointed they'd be if they were told that their husbands had been found alive.
I am not finding that is. I smiled. That
you did smile. I saw.
I did.
She got a lot of pushback on that one too. But what Entertainment Weekly said might be the most offensive commercial ever, in 2016, Miracle Mattress of San Antonio, Texas, briefly ran a commercial promoting a sale themed around September 11th. In the commercial, the store daughter's owner explained how the store was recalling the Twin Towers collapse by selling all its inventory at the price of twin-sized mattresses for the weekend. This is a real commercial, by the way, with the slogan, Twin Towers, Twin Price. At the end of the ad, she pushed 2 employees into twin piles of mattresses, one of which was topped with the American flag, and both towers collapsed. After briefly expressing shock and horror, she turned to the camera and said, "We'll never forget." So that didn't go over very well either.
Not at all. And I want to say I have seen, not on TV. I think I have YouTubed this.
You've seen this ad?
I think so.
Have you?
It sounds so familiar.
Were you in Texas in 2016?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
Yep.
How long have you been there?
Must we?
Yeah. I need to know.
As I moved here, we arrived on July 6th of 2006.
Okay, so that's the same year.
3:14 p.m.
2006. Oh, wow. So that's a while back.
Yeah, it's like 16 years.
15, 16 years. Congratulations on your upcoming anniversary of moving to Texas.
Thank you so much.
In July. So the best thing I think that was sort of a joke, it was a joke, around September 11th was in 2018, The Onion published a fake 9/11 themed Subway advertisement. And the Onion article read, citing a wide range of deals customers will never forget, fast food chain Subway announced an exciting new promotion this week to honor and commemorate September 11th. With a number of terrific discounts on special sandwiches, as well as our classic footlongs, you'll always remember where you were on September 11th. Subway President Fred DeLuca told reporters, referring to Subway's special promotion, which for a limited time only, visitors of the restaurant's tens of thousands of franchise locations will be able to fly on in and pick up 2 foot-long subs of their choice for only $9.11. From the structural steel melt on Tower 7 grain bread to the Twin Towers cold cut combo with ground zero carb vinaigrette on a Let's Whole wheat roll, we've got something for everybody this September 11th. DeLuca added that the special promotion will be first responders first served.
I mean, I will say, whoever had the privilege of writing that, well done.
They obviously had a good time.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny. I laughed, obviously. But people responded negatively, said that it was in poor taste, and asked on Twitter,
totally
what
agreed.
is wrong with you?
It is in poor taste.
It is in very poor taste.
I think some things we
funny.
just don't joke about, if at all, right? Our grandchildren, yours and mine, will be able to joke about this. And since we'll never have grandchildren, no one will ever be able to joke about it. But no, so like 2 generations from now.
Yeah, people will make jokes.
Yeah,
it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
far enough away from the events that they weren't there to experience what it was like to see the towers collapse, so they won't have that emotional response that we do.
Right,
is my opinion.
And that sense of shame for not only laughing a little tiny bit at other people's horrific,
at other people's pain.
Yeah.
I feel bad about that. But on the other hand, the Onion's first issue after September 11th was released on September 27th, and it had a pretty good reception, which surprises me, because most of the articles in it were in response to the attacks on September 11th. And the leading article was titled, U.S. Vows to Defeat Whoever It Is We're at War With. And other headlines were, American Life Turns into Bad Jerry Bruckheimer Movie, and Not Knowing What to Do, Woman Bakes American Flag Cake. Jokes that directly poked fun at the loss of life, like we were talking about, were cut, such as, America's stronger than ever, says Quadragon officials. I like that one. So that's my wrap-up. This is my wrap-up. I'm wrapping up my story. What have you got for us, Theo?
The one thing about September 11th that has always sort of stayed with me has been that it can never become an American holiday, because we never want people to have casual picnics or look forward to it as a day off, right? That this horrible moment in history must remain horrible, right? And
Gotcha.
I'm there. I would not be going to the September 11th barbecue that anybody would be throwing, right?
No.
It's a thing, right? And I think probably most people that lived I'll say lived through that day. I lived through it on TV, but I know we've had an episode where we talked about this, but I knew somebody that worked in the World Trade Center and survived, and it wasn't at work that day. It was actually late, so everything was fine. But I didn't know that for 12 to 14 hours. It was not a fun day. And so all that aside, I thought, okay, why isn't it a federal holiday? And then sort of like real loosely, what are federal holidays? So here we go, kids. Why do some things get to be federal holidays? Other things don't. And then what is a federal holiday? Get ready. I did some real hard Googling for this. So federal holidays, technically national holidays don't exist in the U.S. Neither the president nor Congress has ever asserted its power to declare a holiday that binds all 50 states. But Congress has the power to establish federal holidays that apply only to federal employees and the District of Columbia. And so this sort of touches upon this goofy structure the United States has, where the District of Columbia isn't really a state, because in the early founding days of the country, the fear was that any state that hosted the capital would amass all of the power and become the most powerful state in all of the United States, right? So they didn't want that to happen, and so that's why D.C. just has sort of this weirdness about it, right? It's a state, it's not a state. So the people in D.C. Mostly work for the government, and so the government gives its workers the day off. The first 4 congressionally designated federal holidays were created in 1870, and that's when Congress granted paid time off to federal workers in the District of Columbia for New Year's Day, Independence Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas Day.
Nice.
In 1880, George Washington's birthday was included. In 1885, Congress extended holiday coverage for some holidays to all federal employees. And what they mean by that is, when they first coughed up this idea of like, oh, let's give everybody in D.C. the day off and give them off, we'll give it with pay, federal workers in other states did not receive that same benefit. So if you lived and worked in D.C., you got Christmas Day off with pay. If you were a federal worker in, I don't know, name another state, Texas,
Iowa,
Virginia, name another state.
North Carolina,
name another state
California,
you haven't lived in. And one you haven't lived in. Okay.
Oregon.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
None of those people in any of those states got paid for the day off. You either had to work, you took the day off with your own pay, right? Let's see here. In 1888, Congress added 7 more federal holidays. They created Decoration Day, which is now Memorial Day, Labor Day in 1894, Armistice Day in 38, which we now call Veterans Day, Inauguration Day, I mean, like, okay, who cares about that? Columbus Day in 1968, Martin Luther King's birthday in 1983, and then Juneteenth in 2021. In 1968, the Uniform Monday Holiday Act was enacted to provide for uniform annual observances of all of Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, and Veterans Day. So basically they were like, hey, let's try and get 3-day weekends out of these federal holidays. And so good for them for doing that. Okay, so creation of federal holidays, going back to 1870 and the creation of the first holidays. When Congress passed the first federal holiday law, the federal government employed about 5,300 workers in D.C. and approximately another 50,000 around the country. The distinction between federal employees working in D.C. and those elsewhere proved important because the initial Holiday Act only applied to the federal workforce in D.C. Federal employees in other parts of the country did not receive holiday benefits until at least 1885. So what? That's like 15 years? Let's see here. Decoration Day / Memorial Day. In 1888, Decoration Day, now Memorial Day, became a holiday for federal workers in the District of Columbia Decoration Day was likely created primarily because a great big number of federal employees had all served in the Civil War, right? And so they took this day off to commemorate their participation in the war, mourn for friends, family who had died, etc. And their absence from work meant a loss of a day's wages. Some members for Congress felt that the federal employees should be allowed this day as a holiday with pay so they may not suffer loss of wages by reason of joining and paying their respects to the memory of those who died in the service of their country, right?
See.
And that feels like a real honorable way of deciding that, like, we're going to make this a holiday, right? Because you guys are going to do this anyway, and you've suffered enough. You shouldn't have to suffer a loss of money while you go through this private feeling. So I don't want to use the word celebration, but I don't know what to call it, right? Event, ceremony. There's lots of words that don't involve celebration that I could have used. I just couldn't think of one. Labor Day. In 1894, Labor Day became a federal holiday. It was created to honor the country's labor. The holiday stood in contrast to previous federal holidays designated to commemorate traditional celebrations like Christmas or New Year's, or patriotic celebrations, wars, or individuals. So this is like the first holiday that's all about like, yay, workers, right? Yay. In its report on the legislation, the House Committee of Labor stated, the use of national holidays is to emphasize some great event or principle in the minds of the people by giving them a day of rest and recreation, a day of enjoyment in commemoration of it, meaning whatever the thing is we were celebrating, right? By honoring labor with a holiday, the committee report suggested the nation will assure that the nobility of labor will be maintained. So long as the laboring man can feel that he holds an honorable as well as a useful place in the body politic, so long will he be a loyal and faithful citizen. I mean, have you met any people? With time, the committee felt the celebration of labor as a national holiday on the first Monday in September would naturally lead to an honorable emulation among the different crafts beneficial to them and to the whole public. It would also tend to increase the feeling of common brotherhood among men in all crafts and callings, and at the same time kindle an honorable desire in each craft to surpass the rest. Again, I ask you, have you met any people? A reasonable amount of rest and recreation makes a workman more useful as a craftsman. So, all right, a lot of like real high value, lofty. Ethical, lofty. Thank you. That's it exactly, right? Reasons behind, and a lot of lofty aspirations. We'll give you this day off, and it's just going to make you a better person, right?
A better worker.
A better worker, but a happier worker too, I guess?
Yes, a happier worker.
Yes.
Happier workers are productive workers.
Work makes us free. Oh, no, that's Auschwitz. What did...
Don't go there.
What was it in Orwell in 1984?
I don't know.
Whatever. But something, I don't know. Something like work makes us happy, but yeah. Oh, well.
I don't know.
So let's see here. So what about September 11th, right? As to the current status of September 11th, Congress has dubbed it a National Day of Service and Remembrance.
Oh.
That's cool, right? And it touches upon those lofty, aspirational drivers when Congress makes a national holiday, or federal holiday, I should say. However, well, I shouldn't say however, because it's not however. So it is a National Day of Service and Remembrance, and it is officially known as Patriot Day.
Oh. I guess I didn't realize that.
I did not know that either. And
That's
every time I see the word patriot, my eyes just glaze over.
It just makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Patriot.
Patriot Day, where you can have freedom fries. I remember all that, guys.
Yep.
Congress has the power to make Patriot Day a permanent federal holiday. Right now, there are 10. Let's list them. There's New Year's Day, right? When everybody's hungover. President's Day. I guess that was...
Sure.
I mean, sure. I know it is.
February, right? Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Independence Day, I know, recognize that as a 3-day weekend. I guess President's Day is a 3-day weekend too.
Yeah.
Right? Thanksgiving Day, I know that one. Hello, 4
Love
days.
that one.
Christmas Day, yippee.
Yay, my favorite.
Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day,
Yes.
Labor Day, and Martin Luther King's Jr.'s birthday. So only federal employees and employees in the District of Columbia are guaranteed these days off, which is why some of us have to work on Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day. Shortly after the September 11th attacks and during their 10th anniversary, there were plenty of calls to make Patriot Day a holiday. So they named it Patriot Day like in 2001, right?
Oh,
This wasn't like a recent naming. Let's see. So they wanted to make it a holiday, mostly out of fear that it would be forgotten by an apathetic public. Again, I ask
Seems
you,
unlikely.
have you met people?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people can be apathetic, but I think that one was a pretty big fucking deal. It was the COVID of the early 2000s. Joe Pertell, a Republican consultant living in Virginia, made a case on Fox News. So you already know I'm saying Fox News and Republican, and we're talking September 11th. But this is like in 2011 when Republicans were still sane. Largely. So.
Okay. If you say so.
Here's what he says. This is my best Republican. Let's see if I can pull out my uncle's voice. What are you doing? No. Okay. In the years following the 9/11 attack, Congress has taken care to mark the day with moments of silence and resolutions. But those proclamations, while important, rarely gain the awareness of everyday Americans. Surely this effort will inspire the cynics to suggest that commemorating September 11th will eventually relegate it to another day of barbecues and baseball games with only passing regard to the heroes of that day. Yet in a deeper sense, there can be no greater response to an attack that was launched on our very way of life than to celebrate the institutions, gatherings, and freedoms that drove our enemies to violence. I mean, you know what? I'll say, like, point taken, sir. I do understand that as a person who belonged to Queer Nation and ACT UP. There is something about taking what people hate about you and just rubbing it right in their face, right? So, okay, I get your point. There is some credence to concerns that a September 11th holiday would be trivialized by commercialism. Tumbledown Trailer... Hello. No, that's not it. It is Tumbledown Trails Golf Course. So another golf course. Located near Madison, Wisconsin, got in trouble for offering 9 holes of golf for $9.11 to commemorate the 12th anniversary of 9/11.
Wow.
September 11th is also just a few days after Labor Day, meaning that if the U.S. government decided to make that a holiday, they would either have to move Labor Day or September would have like 2-3 day weekends in it. And that's just
nothing wrong with that.
Too much freedom. Too much freedom.
Too much patriotism.
Too much freedom. Workers can't be idle.
Yeah.
There's another reason that September 11th probably won't be a holiday anytime soon. Federal holidays cost money. Every federal holiday costs the U.S. government $450 million in employee pay and lost productivity. I'd like to see that split between pay and productivity. But okay, I'll take your number, Library of Congress, if you say so. In 2007, Montana State Representative Don Ryan tried to solve the cost problem by suggesting that September 11th could be made into a holiday instead of Columbus Day. One Italian-American lawmaker told the Irish-American Ryan, "Why don't you take away St. Patrick's Day?" Well, the reason is St. Patrick's Day isn't a federal holiday, sir.
Not a federal holiday, yeah.
Yeah, and also, fuck you, how dare you come after the Irish? If you met any Irish people. Just because it's not a federal holiday now, however, doesn't mean that it will never be. Martin Luther King's birthday wasn't a holiday until 1984. Memorial Day, initially created to honor fallen Union soldiers, wasn't declared a federal holiday until 1967. And Thanksgiving, that was officially made a federal holiday by Abraham Lincoln more than 2 centuries after the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. The end of my book report.
Wow. I just got thrown by the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock thing. I have a
I
lot to say
know.
about that. But
There was a lot of Thanksgiving, like federal holiday stuff, and I was like, save it.
Yeah,
Save
it'll be Thanksgiving
it.
soon enough.
And there's so
We
many.
talk about it then.
That's what we should do for the rest of November. Just do like Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving
apologies, right? And then Christmas.
Okay, fair enough.
And
Unless
Hanukkah.
something really juicy comes up, like Kanye West apologizing again or something.
Oh, God.
He has really doubled down on his assholishness.
Twitter is such a horrible place now, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that awesome to start off with, but
Right,
it was
exactly.
fun, right?
Yeah.
It was like, it was bad, but it was fun bad.
It was entertaining,
Right.
and now it's just bad, right?
Now it's just bad. Yeah. Everybody's going
Well,
to.
good. I'm glad. I hope Elon Musk bites it for real.
I hope that he loses so much money,
Well, he already has. He spent more on it than it was worth. So
even more. I hope he loses more money.
behind you.
Commercial for Mastodon, and this is free. They're not paying us. Everybody on Twitter is apparently headed over to Mastodon, which is a very confused, loose federation of servers, and I don't understand it. And I tried to sign up, and I couldn't figure it
I went
out.
over there and I signed up, and I was like, I don't want to pick a group to belong to. I want to see everything, and you couldn't really do that. And then I was like, I'm not going to bother with this. I'm too old. I'm too old for Mastodon.
It's too much trouble. But all the people, I shouldn't say all, a lot of the people that I follow have moved there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but then how do I find them? And I don't know, but I guess I will figure it out this coming week. But one of the things I will say that I do like about it is, all right, so I did deactivate my Twitter account.
Yeah, me too.
But I did reactivate it because I missed it so much. And I'm apologizing to you now. I'm sorry. And I know
I'm horrified.
I shouldn't. I'm going to be deactivating it because honestly, every day it just goes. There's more Marjorie Taylor,
more depressing every day.
more tweets from that woman from that place than I ever want to see, and they're like all over my feed now.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's just terrible. But so the CEO of Mastodon, somebody footed him. That's the term they use over there instead of tweet.
Oh my God.
A mastodon and the big heavy feet they would have.
Sure.
Stomp, stomp, stomp. You know what feet do, but they stomp, stomp, stomp. So, so this guy, random wannabe troll, right?
Yeah.
Was like, the CEO was explaining like how they moderate their content, and it mentioned something about like, we don't need Nazi sympathizers here or actual Nazis posting stuff. And some troll was like, LOL, Nazis are so long ago, they're not around anymore. Why don't you just try and be a sane person? And not everybody on the right-hand side of politics is a Nazi. And the CEO said, that bullshit doesn't work on me, man.
Excellent.
And I was like, signing up. Hello, right here. Yeah, thank you.
That's good. Maybe I'll go back and try to use it again.
I'm gonna. Molly Jong fast figured it out. I'm gonna figure it out.
All right, that's fair. We can do it.
Yeah. So that's everything I have other than rating the apology from
George White. So George White, who's the manager of the Clubhouse restaurant who made this menu up, did give an apology, and he said, I apologize for those I offended with the 9/11 Seafood Sunday post. My intention was to bring attention to that horrific day 21 years ago, to honor those who lost so much as well as those who gave everything that day. We will have a new theme tomorrow. And so they did later post a new menu dedicated to football with items like the touchdown teeny, coin toss chocolate pie, and offense oysters, which is not a good name for an oyster.
No, not at all. It starts with an O, though. I get where he's going.
So let's look at what the apology did. Was there an expression of regret? Not really. No. An explanation of what went wrong? Well, he said his intention was good. So I guess so.
Yeah.
An acknowledgement of responsibility? Yeah, he said he did it. No declaration of repentance. Not really an offer of repair. He did change the menu.
Changing the
so
arguably that's repair. Arguably.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I'll take that. And then no request for forgiveness. So I'm going to rate this apology a 4 out of 10.
Oh, I'm going to go lower than you. I'm giving it a 3,
Ooh,
right?
Unusual.
Yeah, it's super unusual. I should just, whatever I do is like, I wait for you to give your number, and I'm like,
then add one.
She's smart. Just add 1 and be smarter than her. So I'm giving it a 3, and I'm giving it a 3 mostly because it's the, I'm sorry you were offended.
Exactly.
Right.
I apologize for those I offended.
Yeah.
Not I apologize for doing something really stupid.
Take that bit out, and I'd be at a 4, potentially 5, but good solid 3.
Okay. Fair enough. So that's a 3.5 for this week's apology. And do you have a Who's Sorry Now or an apology expected this week?
I have a Who's Sorry Now, and so it's dumb, but it's the only thing my brain can cough up because, of course, I forgot all about this segment. 107, 106 episodes in?
Something like that.
I'm supposed to know this stuff by now, and I don't.
Well, I forgot this week, too, and I don't have one because I can't come up with anything, so I'm not even that smart, so you go for it.
And all I need to do is just get a Post-it note and write the word, like, apology expected and stick it on my computer, and it would always be there. Am I smart enough to do that? No. Nope.
Same.
Or I could set a reminder on my phone. Dumb. Yes, I have an apology, and it's to my friend. I can't remember his Daniel. It's to my friend Daniel I used to work with at Disney. I was a famously bad cook in my 20s because I grew up in a house of TV dinners. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was cooked at 350 degrees for 25 minutes, right? My whole entire life.
I do that except 425.
350 degrees. I actually, until I was like 25, I wondered what the other temperatures were for on the oven dial. I thought it was like
that's funny.
Either bullshit and fake or like for real fancy souffle cooks or something, right? So everything 350. So anyway, I wanted to learn how to cook, and my friend Jody was trying to teach me because you know the joke like they're such a bad cook they don't know how to boil water. Ha ha ha.
Yes.
I think I've told this to you before. Yeah, sure, right? Like I knew how to boil water, but then I was like, maybe there is a way to boil water. Like maybe you heat the pan first and pour the water in. Maybe you're supposed to do it that way. Or because I had learned from a friend that in order to cook macaroni and cheese, because in my house, all food came out of a box, right?
Okay, sure.
In order to cook macaroni and cheese, you had to let the water boil first, and then you added the pasta. But what I would do is I would throw the pasta in, throw the water in, and then bring it to a boil, and it would all stick together.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is how you prevent it sticking. Yeah. This is how I learned to cook. So so I asked Jody once, right? Like, that boiling water thing, like, is there a way to boil water? She was like, you are so dumb. I cannot believe you are actually asking that question, right? And it was like, I'm asking you because you're a really good cook and you know how to cook. And so, like, help. And so she helped me, right? Over time, right? Anyway, so I then got into wanting to like make dinner for my friends, and I invited Daniel and his boyfriend over, and I made lime spaghetti.
Lime spaghetti?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And that's exactly what they said when I served it to them. Yep.
Well, how did you make this spaghetti?
Right. Exactly. And that's why I'm sorry. Because I wanted to take everything up a notch, and I just didn't want to just like make spaghetti. I wanted to like, oh my God, Theo, you're the best, most amazing creative cook in the world.
That is creative.
I was like, well, I think lime would go with red sauce.
Oh my God.
Okay, right. And I just zested a little lime over the spaghetti. Yeah. And they ate it, not the whole thing.
Oh, they're sweet.
Yes. Yep. It was awful. It was totally awful.
It was nice of you to make them dinner, though. That was really nice.
That dish is the dish that I learned from, right? And it's like, stick to the recipe, don't deviate, you don't know how to cook, but you can manage to get some macaroni and cheese going without burning the house down. So small steps. So there we are. My apologies to them.
Small steps.
I'm really sorry, guys, that I forced my creativity onto you. That's it.
Very cute. Okay, like I said, I don't have an apology because I have never done anything wrong. So that's the end of that.
No.
And I think that's the end of our episode.
Perfection. I think it is too. I'm hearing the end calling.
Hi, Juliet. It's the end of the show.
Stay cool, cucumbers.
And remember, we love you.
And we'll see you next week. Yeah, we love you.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Apologies Accepted, the podcast.
You can find links to the articles and the sources in the show notes.
To submit an apology or find out more, visit us at apologiesaccepted.net, where you can also find our merchandise.
We're on Twitter at Apologies Accepted.
And on Instagram at apologies.accepted.
You can support our important work at Patreon.com/Apologies Accepted.
And fuck Facebook.
Bye.
Bye.